Let's see if my flip is working today. Okay, cool. Flip is working. Awesome sauce. We're going to be doing some deep breathing this morning to get the live started. Emotional regulation is one of the things that you do in order to ensure that your brain is operating at optimal level. On my count of 3, 2, 1, you will start your deep breathing. 3, 2, 1. Inhale and exhale 3 deep breaths. Good morning, Lola. Also ensure that you have water for today. We are going to be discussing, as we can see, go ahead and take a screenshot, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. In particular, we're going to be talking about the highest level of self-actualization. There is current research that has expanded upon this, but for the purposes of today, I will be discussing self-actualization. Good morning. I am Dr. Donna Thomas-Rodgers, daughter of Leslie Darnell Thomas, granddaughter of Arthur Jethro Evelyn II, and great-granddaughter of Levi Thomas. You are going to be working your brain today. As always, Dr. Baines said that who's a neurologist, on TikToks, we need to drink water, even if all you did was go to sleep and wake up, because you can be dehydrated by simply sleeping. The body needs, it was still working while you were asleep, and the brain is 75% water, so it needs to be hydrated. What I have found is that since I have eliminated screen time going to sleep, is that I kept being thirsty, and then I realized this morning that my brain is much more active now, that there isn't this other sound taking place while I am asleep. So I already had to go downstairs and fill it up, because by the time I woke up, I drank water to keep it on my nightstand. So I had half my water bottle was already gone when I woke up this morning. So to go back and refill it, that's why the bottle is now full. But I find myself needing more and more water, which is a good thing, which means that my brain is operating and is telling me, hey, give me some more water. Okay, so today we're going to go out of order, and we're going to do the brain bit first, because you'll need a foundation for self-actualization. So I'm going to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs first. I'm going to flip it again, YouTube. So let me flip it without kicking me out. So you're going to be paying attention to the center graphic. Okay, good. It's the graphic with the pyramid. And here is the brain bit for today. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs were combining neuroscience and motivation philosophy. And basically, Maslow's hierarchy of needs reflects the brain's built-in motivational system. Moving from survival to actualization, each level of hierarchy corresponds to several neural circuits that drive human behavior. So number one, and it's at the bottom, it's the red, it is survival. And that's your psychological needs. Now, the brain region that is utilizing this is the brain stem and the hypothalamus. The function is that it regulates your basic needs: hunger, thirst, sleep, and basic autonomic functions. So from a neuroscience perspective, the hypothalamus monitors the body's internal states and drives behaviors to restore homeostasis. And basically, homeostasis is the body regulating blood pressure, temperature, your blood sugar levels, so that you can optimize your functionality day in and day out. So this is your brain, your body regulating itself based upon the natural needs that it needs: hunger, thirst, and sleep. Next, you have safety, and you're going up in the pyramid to the brighter orange section. Now, this is for safety and security. So these are your safety needs. And so the brain region that responds to this is the amygdala and the hippocampus. We know the amygdala is always looking for threats, always seeking comfort. And then the hippocampus is sending those memories to say, yeah, we're safe, we're good, keep it going. So the function of it is that it scans for threats and forms memories of danger. So don't go around that corner, because remember last time it was saber-tooth tiger over there. That's what the hippocampus and the amygdala are doing. Now, the neuroscience insight is that chronic insecurity can lead to overactive amygdalas, that right one is popping off, and it increases anxiety and hypervigilance. And I'm actually going to do a live on hypervigilance, but today I'm just going to give you an overview. So, hypervigilance is a state of increased alertness and sensitivity to surroundings, often triggered by perceived threats, real or imagined. And it goes beyond normal caution and becomes exhausting as the brain and the body stay stuck in high alert. So, what does that mean? Basically, your brain is constantly scanning for danger, even when you're safe. That's why when you wake up, you had a good night's sleep. Next thing you know, you're on TikTok or somewhere, the news or something, and you are scanning for the danger. Even though you're completely safe in your house, you are hyper vigilant to make sure that you're always looking for the safety. So that's no bueno. Okay, that's why I'm doing a live on it, because you got to stop that. Number 5 is in the center, and this is love and belonging. And this is where most people reside. And it's the connection, that human connection that people are striving for. And the brain regions that are involved in this are the ventral striatum, the oxytocin system. Everybody's always talking about oxytocin, love hormone, love hormone. I'm going to produce the love hormone. I need to be in a loving, caring relationship. That's where that's coming from. And then the ACC, the anterior cingulate cortex. So the function of this is social bonding, attachment, and emotional resonance. I need someone that connects with me. You get me, you understand me. And the neuroscience insight for this is that the social connections release oxytocin and activates your reward circuits, making you feel safe and valued. So you keep hanging around your homies, you keep hanging around your BFFs, you keep being around those people because there's this release of oxytocin and you feel good and you feel safe. You're like, yes, this is awesome, this is wonderful. I love all my family and friends, and that's where you stay. Next is the esteem needs, and this is where self-worth and respect shows up. This happens in the brain's prefrontal cortex and the dorsostriatum. And the function is goal setting, motivation, and self-assessment. So you're almost at the top, you're underneath that turquoise point of the pyramid. And the neuroscience insight is that it's recognition and achievement to stimulate dopamine release, reinforcing effort and persistence. So the difference between level 3 and level 4 is you have this oxytocin, this love hormone, and it kind of feels good, but you're like, yeah, something is missing. So then you start setting goals. I'm going to get promoted at work. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to do these Ironman competitions and weight training and all of that because you want this dopamine release. So now you need to define your self-worth and you want respect. You want to get these titles and these degrees and everything else. And that's where a smaller portion of the population resides. And then finally, you get to the top, the pinnacle, the turquoise triangle at the top, and this is self-actualization, and this is growth and fulfillment. And the brain region that you are using for this is the default mode network and the prefrontal cortex. And the function is imagination, meaning making, and self-reflection. The neuroscience insights is that true self-actualization involves integrating emotion and cognition, engaging higher order networks for creativity, purpose, and personal mastery. So the basic takeaway from this is that the journey of Maslow's pyramid mirrors a shift from reactive brain circuits all the way at the bottom, like the brainstem and the amygdala, to reflective and integrative circuits like the prefrontal cortex and the default mode network. As your needs are met, the brain reallocates energy towards growth, connection, and self-expression. So what am I saying? Why are we talking about that today? As I transition into my other note taking. Okay, give me 1 second. Got it. So as I mentioned, I've been purging a lot of things. A lot of things have been going on. And I've mentioned Maslow's hierarchy of needs before, learned about it in college many moons ago. And what is taking place? And I said after 1,778 days, deleted the Bible app, done. And I went back and online, saw the church that I used to attend way back in Michigan 20 years ago. And I said, man, they're exactly the same. How are they exactly the same? That makes no sense. I've changed so much in those 20 years. Why are they still the same? And they're still the same because of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. They're vacillating back and forth between level 3 and level 4. Today, we are going to be discussing self-actualization and the importance of it. We're also going to discuss at what age should you become or start to focus on self-actualization. The number shocked me, almost fell out my chair when I found out when it actually starts. I was bumfuzzled. I was like, oh my God, flabbergasted. I couldn't believe it. So here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. Your objective in life as a real leader is to become self-actualized as soon as possible. Self-actualized as soon as possible. That means when you get off this live, you are needing to be focused on self-actualization. Why, Dr. Donna? Why would you say that? Because that's where the magic happens. That's where your ability to become your best actually takes place. It doesn't take place in the other four levels. The other four levels are connected to other people. And that's why Linda said it at the beginning of the year, unaccountable people need a host. For survival and thriving, and by the time you get to 3, you can now be in these committed, in theory, committed, loving, wholesome relationships. And then 4, it's all about the rewards, the accoutrements, the promotions, the cars, the houses, and all of the possessions. But self-actualization is number 5. And that's the problem that I'm having. I've been talking to my daughter about it, and I don't have any peers currently. And the reason why is because people aren't self-actualized, and it's not associated with the age. It's associated with the work that you do to become self-actualized. So somebody in there that's 35 could be self-actualized, and somebody that's 75 could not be. So it isn't age dependent, it's neurologically dependent, and that's what we will discover today. What is the definition of self-actualization? It's the realization. But first, before I go into this, what questions do you have about Maslow's hierarchy of needs? And if it's clear, let me know. Why is that salty? Oh, that doesn't make sense. Lola says no questions. Lola says no questions, so we will proceed. Self-actualization. Self-actualization is the realization or fulfillment of one's full potential. Your full potential. We know that meet your potential is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Your talents and capabilities. It represents the highest level of psychological development where an individual becomes everything they are capable of becoming. So that means that you are maxing out those 860 trillion synaptic connections. That's why it's advantageous for you to become oh my goodness, Lord have mercy, self-actualized, okay? It is tantamount for you to become self-actualized. And it's everything that you are capable of becoming. Everything that you are capable of becoming. Even though your math teacher said you're stupid and you're never going to be able to code, doesn't matter. You are capable of doing it because of those synaptic connections, the ability to access 860 trillion synaptic connections. So it's everything that you are capable of becoming. So that means if you have somebody that you care about that's in 3 and they only want oxytocin, 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 or somebody that's in level 4 that just wants dopamine, 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 you got to leave them behind because they are stopping you from becoming self-actualized. They are, back in the day, the Army's commercial used to be all that you can be in the Army. So that statement is true. And I went back. I was in the Army when they were saying be all you could be. At any rate, it's you being the best that you can be. Be the best is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. That's what self-actualization is about. So everybody can come. Notice it didn't say only 10% of the population can become self-actualized. There wasn't a number associated with it. You have to do the work. So you have to say, do I just want to wake up every day and just have my needs met and just have food and shelter and that's it? Or do I want to take it to the next level? Do I just want to be in this committed, loving relationship with you and your family and that's it? Do I just want a bunch of possessions, or do I want to go and be the baddest motherfucker walking the face of the planet Earth? I choose the latter. I choose the latter. And it's neurologically possible to get it done. So here are the key aspects of self-actualization based upon Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Autonomy, making independent choices based on internal values. That means you're going to make all your choices based upon your internal values. Purpose, you're going to live a life aligned with personal meaning and goals. Your life will be aligned with your personal meaning and goals. Growth, and grow continually is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. So continuously learning and evolving emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. That's why I deleted the Bible app. I wasn't learning spiritually no more. That's why I left the church, because I wasn't learning spiritually anymore, because they are stuck between 3 and 4. And that works if you're stuck between 3 and 4. But if you are self-actualized, you can't go back there. You can't go back there and think that you're going to extrapolate something that's going to help you with your own personal growth and development. Authenticity. The A in Real Leaders Wear Pink, there's a whole section in my book for be authentic and be your true self, not conforming to external pressures. And we had a live about external anxiety where you absorb it and now you're trying to get it off of you because it's not even your anxiety. And that's what we see rampant in the world with the 6 billion adults. So you get to be your true self because your personality resides in your frontal lobe. And you are not going to submit to external pressure. Peer pressure ain't never, ever, 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 ever stopped me from doing some dumb shit. I let people try to do dumb shit. And when I was in high school, I'm like, I'm out. I ain't doing that. I'm in ROTC. I used to say I got ROTC scholarship. I can't in college. Nah, I can't be doing that. Nah, I can't. I'm in the Army. I can't do that. Nope. Frito-Lay, drug test. I'm out. I don't care what y'all smoking and doing. We done. See you later. So long, sucker. See you later. Bye-bye. Not going to be a part of that. Next is creativity. You get to express yourself in unique and imaginative ways. I have on a brain t-shirt with a brain background. This is something that I would not be able to do if I was conforming. I would be too busy trying to fill in my eyebrows and make sure my lashes was working and making sure I'm contouring the shit out of these high ass cheekbones. And I gotta get my nails done. And I gotta make sure my frontal is laid and all of that. And I gotta say, what? 52 is the new 32. Yes. I am standing here looking like everything. I'm giving life. Yes. No, I'm not about to do that. Okay. And then peak experiences, moments of deep joy, fulfillment, or transcendence. And I'd like to give you the definition of transcendence so you could completely understand why it's so important to become self-actualized. Going beyond ordinary limitations. Going above and beyond is one of the 74 principles of real leadership. Moving beyond physical needs and realities. It's a high spiritual state. So this whole notion, like I said, I don't need a car no more. You could have told me 30 years ago that I'd be like, I don't need a car. I don't need to wear a watch. I ain't got to have on big giant diamonds. I don't have to have on a necklace. I don't need bracelets. I don't need to pull up in the woo. I ain't got to have my full and fur coats on. I don't have to do none of that. You could not have told me that becoming self-actualized means that you would get past that and you wouldn't need any of that anymore. Do I need shelter and food? Yes. Clothes, all of that? Yes. But it's not defining me anymore. So you're going to transcend all of this regular limited stuff that people care about. We were at Whole Foods yesterday in the parking lot. I told y'all we live in an affluent neighborhood in theory. And I mean, I'm like, we're so desensitized to Range Rovers and G-Wagons and Phantoms and doggone Lamborghinis and the new Vets and the Tesla Cybertruck, all that. We just walk past. As far as I'm concerned, they look like Toyota Camrys. There's so many of them that you just become desensitized to it. Like, okay, did we get all our groceries and we move on? And 30 years ago, you couldn't have told me that I would be, first of all, living in an area like that. And then secondarily, got zero fucks to give about that. Keep it pushing. I ain't like, oh my God, but did you see that one? But that one got the rap on it. Walking right past. Okay, brain-based perspective for self-actualization. It involves integration of multiple brain regions. So you have the prefrontal cortex for goal setting, long-term planning, and self-reflection. Next, you have the anterior cingulate cortex for self-regulation, empathy, and conflict resolution. Then you have the default mode network, which we mentioned before, is introspection, a sense of identity, and future thinking. You have the ventral striatum, and that's for, I say empowerment, but Chad is saying motivation and reward-based learning. And then you have the insula for self-awareness. So these are the brain regions that you're going to be using for self-actualization. Prefrontal cortex, the ACC, the default mode network, the ventral striatum, and the insula. Okay. Now, the neuroscience insight. Self-actualization isn't a destination. It's a dynamic process of rewiring your brain to greater meaning, purpose, and integrity. I'm going to say that again. Self-actualization isn't a destination. It is a dynamic process of rewiring your brain toward greater meaning, purpose, and integrity. And I'm gonna flip it and hopefully I don't go away. Let's see. So the self-actualization is at the top and it's showing you the autonomy, the growth, the creativity, the purpose, the authenticity, and your peak experiences. And so what's happening is you're having this personal journey that you are on for yourself. Now, here's the best part of life today. You have this ability, you have your brain's capabilities of creating 860 trillion synaptic connections. You understand that you don't have to stay at any Maslow's level for any extended period of time. It's not like going to school. It's not a prerequisite to get to the other one. So you got to be doing this work for 2 years and this work for 4 years and this work for 5 years. No, you just do the work. And as you continue to grow and your needs are met and your emotional needs are met and then your possession needs are met, you get to go to self-actualization. So why do people avoid self-actualization? I'm glad you asked, Nola, and here's why. Avoiding self-actualization, consciously or unconsciously, neglecting personal growth, purpose, authenticity, or your potential can lead to underactivation, imbalance, and maladaptive patterns in several key brain regions. So what is a maladaptive pattern? I'm glad you asked, Lola. It is repetitive, ineffective, or self-destructive ways of thinking, feeling, or behaving that prevent individuals from achieving their goals or adapting to life's challenges. And so what you do is you consistently repeat all of this destructive behavior that stops you from behaving in a way that you become self-actualized. The statement is true. History repeats itself. We're just repeating history once again. And it is because of the adult population's inability to become self-actualized. Not enough, not critical mass. Because once you get to critical mass, the rest of the people, the late adopters, will just follow suit. Think of all the people the early adopters who had smartphones, then the other group came, then that last group, your grandparents, your people that don't like technology. I don't care about no smartphone. No, now they're like, I want to see the grands on the Facebook. Give me one of them smartphones. Now, more people have them than not globally. So it is this maladaptive pattern behavior that is stopping people from deciding, hey, let me start using my brain as it was designed to be used. Let me start becoming self-actualized. So the brain regions that are impacted by people avoiding self-actualization. The prefrontal cortex, obviously, not thinking straight. So it's reduced goal setting. It weakens the long-term planning. Indecisiveness is part of it, and it's a lack of self-direction. A lack of self-direction. Next is the ACC. So it's less self-monitoring and emotional regulation, leading to increased internal conflict. No, I'm not going to do that. I can't do this. I know. I got to stay here. But what about this job? When I left Frito-Lay, that's the moment I started focusing on becoming self-actualized. I'm leaving all this behind and I'm moving forward. There has to be something better than putting chips on a truck. But no, what about car insurance, health insurance, life insurance, with all these other things? And now, no one knows who you are. You're not going to have a title. You're not going to have this big, giant corporation behind you. All of that is taking place. Then the insular cortex, decreased self-awareness and emotional insight. And so you detach from your internal values. You totally detach from it because you are not doing default mode network. You're not doing personal time. You're not self-reflecting. And you're just like, nope, I'm not going to be who I came here to be. So then in the default mode network, you have this overreactive rumination. It's negative self-talk or an avoidance of introspection and purpose. So you're just like, I ain't shit. I'm not about to be able to do that. This is not going to work. And you just start really just mentally beating yourself up. And then in the ventral striatum, you reduce intrinsic motivation and joy in meaningful activities, and reward seeking becomes external. I'm going to say that part again. Reward seeking becomes external. I need to go to a concert. I got to go to this event. I got to have some family and friends over. I need to go on this girls' trip vacation. And so everything that you're doing for rewards, that dopamine boost. Did not say it's manufactured. I've said that. You're looking for external stimuli. Why? Because of not wanting to be self-actualized. I said when you over here, you don't need no external stimulus. We're not over at Louisville. Hey, what y'all doing over there? Y'all got, oh, y'all having a barbecue. Okay, what do I need to bring? Oh, I got to bring some pity soup. Okay, got it, no problem. I'll be there. 10 o'clock. Okay, get bet. So all of this external stimulation is the fact that people are avoiding self-actualization. And I'm not saying don't go to places, but I'm saying when you go there expecting something in return because you're not complete when you get there, and then it goes like, man, that concert was terrible, that party wasn't that food was terrible, that was that. And see, this is why I don't go no places, because you're seeking it elsewhere because you don't believe neurologically that you have the ability to produce it yourself. So all your reward seeking, football season is coming. Everybody's counting down. They can't wait. They got the jerseys on. They're ready. You're getting ready to have the WNBA finals is getting ready to happen, and we're going to be a part of that too. And you got your people that's coming on concerts, and all the new movies that's coming out, the new television shows that's coming because it's almost fall. All of that is external stimulation because you can't get it from the inside out. And then finally, the amygdala. Heightened fear or failure, judgment or rejection leading to inaction and self-sabotage. Because you are not becoming self-actualized, you are going to be afraid to do anything. You got your one job, you got the one thing that you know how to do good, and you're just going to stay here and stuff for 50 years, working memory, brain going to atrophy and everything. Then you're going to start blaming all the isms and somebody trying to sabotage me and everything else because of your inability to create those 860 synaptic connections. So what's the neuroscience insight? When you avoid becoming who you were meant to be, your brain defaults to survival mode, reinforcing short-term comfort over long-term purpose. I'm going to read that again. When you avoid who you're meant to be, you avoid it. Your brain defaults to survival mode, reinforcing short-term comfort over long-term purpose. I think I'm going to redecorate the house. You need to go to Al-Anon and work your ish out, but you're going to redecorate the house. You got 17 defects of character, but you're going to change your hair. You're going to go you're having a midlife breakdown, so you're going to go get a red sports car that your old big ass can't get in. But that's what you're going to do because you need short-term comfort. You need immediate gratification because your ass ain't did none of the neurological work that you need to do. So you just gonna keep on I'm just living for today. I don't want to plan for tomorrow. Tomorrow ain't promised to nobody. I gotta live in a moment. That's because you don't have the brain capacity to live past today. You don't have the confidence, the neurological aptitude to get it done. So of course you just gonna focus on give it to me now. Let me watch what's happening now. Let me go over here now. Let me go ahead and put this new suit on and go to church because it's Sunday. So I'm gonna let them know. Yes. No. Okay? That shit ain't gonna work long term. Okay, now YouTube, I swear. Okay. Got it. So, ladies and gentlemen, what age, for those of you who are fully participating, and Nola, you can't answer because you answered yesterday. So Lola is probably potentially the only person that's going to answer. But what age do you start to avoid self-actualization? What age do you believe that people start to avoid self-actualization? That is that top part of the pyramid. That top part of the pyramid. What age does it happen? What age does it happen? You start to avoid self-actualization. No one said 13, even though I said you answered. Yeah, we answered yesterday in the car. Any other takers? What age do you start to avoid self-actualization? I thought it was 25. That was my initial answer before I got the answer. No more takers? Okay. All right. So avoidance of self-actualization can begin at any age, but it often starts to emerge during childhood to early adolescence, ages 9 to 14. 9 to 14, fourth grade to eighth grade in the US school system. Fourth grade to eighth grade, you are already stopping self-actualization. And here's why. Because the social comparisons start to increase. You get on a sports team. Why aren't you good as Timmy? Jessica's able to do 15 backwards flips. You can only do 12. External validation from peers, parents, and teachers. Parents are the creators of sibling rivalry. Why can't you be more like your sister? Why can't you be more like your brother? Don't be like your sister. Don't be like your brother. So the avoidance age of self-actualization starts at 9 to 14. 9 to 14 is when you start to avoid self-actualization. Yes, 9 to 14 during your early childhood and adolescence. So fourth grade to eighth grade, you already start avoiding self-actualization. And it's because of the comparisons. It's because of the external validation from your peers, parents, and teachers, and they become more influential. I told y'all by seventh grade, in elementary school, you could be president. In seventh grade, the test scores come back and they're like, yeah, you need to be realistic. Your ass gonna have to be a person changing the oil at Jiffy Lube because you dumb as a box of rocks. So it's already being told to you. And then self-doubt. So now you have fear of judgment or failure. So you starts shaping your choices. That's why right now, all of the youth are walking around with fucking Crocs, blankets, hoods, hair and ponytails, and pajama pants, and raggedy ass shirts and hoodies. And then the young ladies got on barely enough clothes because I want to fit in. That's all you gotta do. Back in the day, we had Gumby slopes and high tops, and we had on our tennis dresses with the biking tights underneath it, and all when Salt and Pepper had them cat suits on with the mate ball jackets and them doggone high boots. There you go. Everybody wanted the Halle Berry, the TLC with the things on there. That is causing you to start cultural, familiar, and societal expectations override your inner desires. That's why everybody looks exactly like themselves. That's why everybody got eyebrows this big. Back in the day, we had eyebrows thin as hell. The big glasses are coming back. You're on trend. Everybody has on athleisure. All the men have on those tight ass suits from the 60s and 70s, no matter what size they are. No socks or sneakers on because I'm not self-actualized. I'm not self-actualized and I want to blend in so nobody conformity bias and comfort bias. But it starts at ages 9 through 14. And that's why I tell you, go back and look at your elementary school photos because that's as pure as it was going to be for you. That's who you were. Third grade photo, fourth, fifth grade photo is who you was before society starts saying, that ain't you, that ain't you, that's not you, that's not you, that's not you. I went to school with my fifth grade photo. Y'all seen it. I had on a tweed suit with velvet collar on and a tie and a pleated skirt with some white tights and some velvet ballerina flats in the hood. And they laughed at me like nobody's business, and I did not care. I sure did have that suit on, and I'm looking at the picture right now because it's on my dresser. So what happens is the developmental brain basis. So in the prefrontal cortex, it's responsible for goal setting and self-reflection, and it's still developing until your mid-20s. 25 is when you actually get your full prefrontal cortex. So during adolescence, the amygdala, that's the fear and emotion center located in the limbic system of the brain and the temporal lobe, right there with the hypothalamus, thalamus, and hippocampus, is more dominant than the prefrontal cortex, making teens more reactive and less reflective. So because you get your new brain at 13, you don't get a complete brain until 25. That's why it's like, why teenagers don't know? They just always doing dumb shit. They don't make no sense because the amygdala is stronger than the prefrontal cortex. So this imbalance makes youth more vulnerable to avoiding authentic pursuits in favor of safety, conformity, or approval. That's why you think anybody that's raised a teenager, why would your friends say make more sense than what I'm saying? Because the amygdala is running the show and the prefrontal cortex is developing. So that's why they're listening to their friends and they're getting more fucking trouble from 13 to 25 than in theory for the rest of their life because that pressure is actually there. And to be self-actualized, first of all, nobody's really self-actualized right now. And I have a hypothesis that if more adults became self-actualized, the children mirror their parents because of the mirror neurons. So if they see you being self-actualized, guess what's going to happen? They're not going to be swayed by their peers. My daughter has never owned a pair of Jordans. She had one pair of name brand sneakers growing up, and I got a pair from the consignment store. My sister bought her a pair because that wasn't what she was used to seeing. So she wasn't accustomed to, oh, we got to have the new and the fresh and the this, and we got to go here, we got to go there and go there. So it wasn't, her brain wasn't wired for that. And it was not something that she actually desired. So she didn't have to have this about to drop, and the Supreme about to drop, and this about to drop, and I got to have this new thing, and I have that new thing. So they're just watching you. They're watching you. You have a full liquor cabinet at your house, and they watch you drink and then go out. They watch you take a perk or whatever because you need an Ambien to go to sleep. And then they get caught with some drugs at school. You trying to figure out what happened. How dare you? But you got a full liquor cabinet at your house. Okay, yeah. So they're watching you too. So they're listening to their friends and they're watching you. And that's the product of their environment. So if you want them to do something different, you need to be doing something different. That's why you need to be self-actualized. Doesn't mean don't be disheveled and don't take care of yourself. I'm not saying that. But when those things are the only thing that they see you doing, they're going to do the same thing too. So the common early signs of avoidance: playing it safe, even when you're curious; suppressing creativity or uniqueness. You come from a family of doctors, and now you come home with the art project, and they say throw that shit away. You going to medical school. What? But I don't want to be a doctor. Oh no, we're doctors in this family. We're lawyers. We're cops in this family. How dare you go off and do something else? No, we are doctors. Okay, right now, go read a medical book. So, and also following others rather than exploring self, and choosing approval over growth. When I came home and I joined ROTC, first of all, I did join it for a vain reason. I was like, first of all, I don't like being naked around people, so I'm not doing PE. Second of all, I got a tape or haircut, and I'm not going to be in gym sweating my hair out in the middle of the day, walking around school looking like a fool. So I ran the numbers. I said, I got to put that ugly uniform on, those road stomping shoes Wednesday, but the rest of the time I can wear my own clothes and keep my hair intact. Absolutely. Put me in ROTC. And then I fell in love with it. Like I came home at 17, told my mother, sign this paperwork, told me I got to go to college. I'm going to the reserves. Everybody's like, you still in high school? I know, sign the paperwork. Well, no, I was the only person in my high school that in their junior year of the class of 1991 went to basic training. Everybody else went to computer camps and all this other shit. I'm in the Army, the United States Army, PFC, and the Army Reserves. Nobody at my school went but me. That was it. Nobody else went. They was like, oh, we all going to hell yeah, we going to basic training this summer. What? Army for life? No. Nobody. It's like, what you do? I came back all big swole. It's like, where you been for the summer? I was in the Army. Yeah, I know a war is about to break out. I got it, but hey, I got to pay for college. So choosing growth versus approval. And so the neuroscience insight is this: the seeds of all self-actualization are planted early, elementary school. But fear, pressure, and conformity bias can bury them unless courage, curiosity, and inner trust are nurtured. So that nurturing that you did, if you got grandchildren or younger children in elementary school, and then all of a sudden you tell them stop, STEAM is the thing, you got to be able to be an influencer, and all these parents making these children play these sports because of NIL money, and your kids suck anyway because they got your genes and you wasn't good in sports, so how the hell they going to be good in sports? But that's another story for a different day. You can act, you going to act. We need money. I hate my job. So I'm gonna put you out here on the track. We're gonna build your career up so I can sit at home in the mansion and go na on Facebook and tell people how great and wonderful my child is, taking care of me, and I don't have to do nothing no more. Yeah, that's happening. So what questions do you have about why people avoid self-actualization and when it starts? When it starts in elementary school. And then you are there for the rest of your life in theory, unless you do something different. Any questions? If it's clear, let me know. You can type clear, no questions, and I will move on to brain-based activities that you can use, because even if you are not self-actualized because someone taught you, you allow peer pressure, oral conformity bias, confirmation bias to talk you into something that doesn't reflect and represent who you are, we can change that today. Wire and fire, new neurons. It can happen. You too can become self-actualized, as that should be your objective. People are like, oh my God, gone too soon. They died, and then they just started living. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. I told someone this the other day, everybody's afraid to live and die. You can't be afraid of both. One of them gonna have to take over. You're either sick of being here, you're like, ooh, I can't wait till I die, so this could be over. Or you can be like, woo, I'm loving life. I don't want to die. Life is so good, but it ain't happening. You just keep seeking immediate gratification over and over and over and over and over again instead of actually having total fulfillment. So if there are no questions, I will proceed. So here are the brain-based activities grounded in neuroscience to strengthen and embrace self-actualization in adulthood. And each activity is designed to engage key brain regions associated with purpose, authenticity, creativity, and self-growth. So number one activity is future self-visualization. You're going to do this 5 to 10 minutes. And it activates your goal-oriented, value-based thinking. And the regions involved are the prefrontal cortex and the default mode network. And what this does is this builds clarity, direction, and intrinsic empowerment. They need a host. That's right. I think you just typed that. Yes. And so don't be their host. I think Aliens, remember the movie Alien with Sigourney Weaver? I think that Aliens needed a host because they got inside of her and she ended up having alien babies. So think of it that way. Yes, ma'am. Next is, so you're going to visualize your future self. And that's what I do. Study the brain, master the brain, teach others to do the same. And I visualize myself, the world having 6 billion personally accountable people, creating 860 trillion synaptic connections. And I keep doing that because otherwise, if I look at what's happening now, it becomes quite deflating because adults are lazy and are seeking immediate gratification. And because of that hypervigilance, keep looking for a threat, keep looking for a threat, keep looking for a threat, keep looking for a threat. Ain't nobody got time for all that. It's a waste of brain energy. Next is autobiographical journaling. So you reflect on choices, identity, and values. And this supports self-reflection and identity formation. This happens in the default mode network in the insula, and it reinforces authenticity and meaning. And so the reason why this is important is because I am female. I'm born female and I am female. And so at this point, I am 52 and I am aging. And so I have more freckles, I have age spots, wrinkles, all types of things are happening. I'm perimenopause. And what I am in theory supposed to do is either they have a We Do Not Care Club on TikTok. So I should either be joining the We Do Not Care Club or I should be joining the group 52 is the new 30 and I am snatched and woke. Or the group that has just overinflated themselves and they're just like, well, you know, I'm just here and I'm just doing the best that I can. And I'm saying fuck all three of those groups. I'm not a part of none of that shit. I'm me. So no, I will not be making myself up to look like a clown. No, I will not be disheveled as hell saying I don't give a fuck no more. I'm going to be personally groomed. I'm going to be as healthy as I possibly can without medication unless it's necessary for life or death. And I am going to do me. I'm going to have my brain t-shirt on. I'm going to be as smart as I actually am. I'm not dumbing it down. I'm not dimming my light. I don't care if you feel stupid because I'm telling you could be smart. But if you don't want to be, then feel stupid. That's on you. But I will not be me any longer. I will not let my mother, my older sister, my sorors, or anybody else talk me into this nice little box that makes everybody comfortable. Fuck your comfort. Comfort is overrated. So that journaling, that self-reflection time, I'm clear. I'm not filling the back of my eyebrows in. I'm not gluing shit on my eyebrows so I can look pretty. I'm fine the way I am. If you don't like looking at me, go look at something else. This is the DNA that I was given. But I will not let beauty standards, I'm not putting on no damn Spanx, a corset. I'm not walking around here looking like a hoe with poom poom shorts on and a sports bra to go to the grocery store. I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm going to do what I've been doing because I'm me. And no one is going to talk me into something that doesn't bode well for who I am because I am self-actualized. And when you start autobiographical journaling and you start reflecting in your default mode network instead of mind wandering and daydreaming, you too can become self-actualized. Now, next is the curiosity-driven learning. So you're going to pursue personal interests, not just goals. So when I was at Frito-Lay, I'm going to get the next promotion, I'm going to get the next promotion, I'm going to get the next promotion. But additionally, I was becoming Dr. Donna at the same time. That was a personal goal of mine that I wrote when I was 23 years old. I typed it on the computer. I used to have a list of 25 things that I wanted to do before I died. So Dr. Donna overrode any promotion that I could get at Frito-Lay because I couldn't read. And you got to be a bad mofo to you read a lot getting a doggone doctorate. And what happens is this triggers the dopamine reward system in the ventral striatum and the hippocampus, and it fuels creativity and lifelong learning and lifelong growth. So I produce my own natural dopamine. Every time I do a live, every time I learn a new term, anything, any book I finish, any video content I produce, I'm producing my own dopamine and I'm creating my content in the way that I want to create it and not in these trends. I've been posting on social media since December 16, 2015. Do you know how many trends have come in 9.5 years and left? TikTok sounds, Instagram, everything. It has come and go. How you do videos has come and go. And that's why if you go to other people's channel, this shit look old and dated. You're like, oh, I remember we used to do that. Oh, I remember we used to do that. Oh, I remember we used to do that. You're not going to have that. Now, camera qualities have increased. And so actual video editing has improved as well. But you can watch a video from 11 years that I made and it's going to make sense today because I created quality content and it's learnable content. Number 4 is, why am I doing this? Remember, I said don't do anything without a why. Don't do anything without a why, and don't do anything without a strategy. So you're going to check in before you do any major task. I'm getting ready to start a business. Why? I'm getting ready to buy a house. Why? I'm getting ready to leave my spouse. Why? I'm getting ready to kick my grown kids out. Why? I'm getting ready to study a foreign language. Why? I'm getting ready to go back to the gym. Why? So have that check-in. And what this does is it activates the executive function for purpose-driven actions. And it happens in the prefrontal cortex and the ACC, and it reduces autopilot and increases self-directed behavior. Y'all over here doing shit because everybody else doing it, and you never even asked if it applies to you. You never even said, does this work for me? Everybody shouldn't have braids. I know it's summer, you want to do something else with your hair, but wigs are an option as well because everybody don't look good in braids. Everybody don't look good in the current trendy hairstyles. That taper burst with the little ponytails that these young men have, everybody don't look good in that. So reevaluate why you're doing it. Everybody's a small group of people that look good in Crocs. Small group. There are other shoes that can provide comfort. But I gotta have on Crocs. You gotta have on your Crocs. You gotta have on your Crocs. You gotta have on this. You gotta have but you gotta have on a new no, you don't. You can have personal style, and some of that stuff can be incorporated in, and some of it can, but you're just doing it because you don't know who you are. And that's why you're letting the external world tell you who you are. I got clothes from 20 years ago that I put on. Still look great in them. And I'm still the same size. And they looked good then and they look good now because I didn't buy trendy shit then. So it's not on trend now, but I look good in it because that was a personal choice. So why? Why am I putting it on? Why am I driving it? Why am I eating it? Why am I watching it? Why am I listening to it? Why am I pursuing it? Why? And if you don't have a why, then you say goodbye. If the why doesn't, you don't have a good enough why, don't do it. And I don't care how trendy it is. I really don't care what it is at all. Well, this is the new trend. This is the new trend because they said if you do this, people been just now getting on collagen. People just not getting organic baby food. My daughter's 22. We had organic baby food in the early 2000s, and they had it before then. Y'all ain't the first group to do this stuff. Oh, and then what you have to do is you have to give them belly time, lap time, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. Why? If it does not apply, then that's not a good why, okay? It's got to say goodbye. Next is value-based decision mapping. So you're going to list 3 core values that align with them weekly. 3 core values that match you. So I don't drink. So I'm not about to go to somebody's house and play the game bullshit because I don't drink. That does not align with my values. Y'all can play it, but I'm not participating in it. And I'm saying that because I've been back in the day to cookouts, and that's, let's play some bullshit because it got boring. And so now they need some immediate gratification. Well, let's go ahead and play some bullshit. That's bullshit. And I'm leaving because y'all about to get drunk and some other shit going to take place. And I don't want to be a witness to it. So it strengthens your cognitive emotional integration. And it's in the insula, the PFC, and the amygdala, and it builds internal consistency and trust in yourself. You are checking in on your value mapping. Number 6 is purpose-driven acts of service. So volunteer, mentor, and contribute. And I'm going to say this with the caveat. Don't go volunteering because you feel bad and you want to help somebody less than you with your fucking superiority complex. And now you want to feel better because somebody higher than you made you feel bad. Well, I'm going to just go volunteer and help the homeless. I'm going to go volunteer and help the kids at school. I volunteered at my daughter's school from kindergarten to 1st to 5th grade. And I didn't just go in there doing dumb shit. In the 4th grade, I taught the whole class how to play chess. In the 5th grade, I was volunteering for the mile club so kids could run 100 miles over the whole course of the school year at recess to do something more productive. So in kindergarten, I was teaching the kids how to read. So don't be going over there doing some dumb shit so you can feel better. That ain't value added. If you are going to volunteer, mentor, and contribute, make sure it's getting people to their best at 100%. Not some bullshit like these fucking backpack ass back to school. Oh, we had somebody here, NIL person, gonna go do a backpack drive and pull up in a fucking G-Wagon. Read the room. That's right, we having a backpack drive, but I still got to be superior to y'all, so let me pull up in my G-Wagon. High schooler, I got to pull up in my G-Wagon. You couldn't have pulled up in an Uber? You couldn't have got there first so nobody knew what you were driving? No. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actually volunteering, mentoring, and contributing in a way that enhances and advances what people are doing. And what this does is it engages empathy and social reward circuitry. So when you do it for real, from a real centered, authentic place, the dopamine release that you get is your own reward. Okay, college sophomore. Thank you, Nola. College sophomore, my bad. Mirror neurons are what you're activating in the ACC and enhances fulfillment and self-transcendence. And if anybody's like, well, what's wrong with it? That kids need backpacks. Kids need resources throughout the school year. And those school supplies are going to be gone by December. Then you're going to do Toys for Tots. And they're not going to have any school supplies for the rest of the school year. Parents need childcare because they got to work. After school care. The one thing that our libraries have done here is that teachers volunteer from the 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening for homework. So there are 10 libraries that you can go to, and those teachers are there to help you with your homework. That's what they're doing. So yeah, kudos to your backpack drive and your school supply drive. It's going to make a difference. Yep. And the one thing that I will say while I have your attention, I never heard anybody give a thank you speech and say, and when such and such, did that backpack drive in the 3rd grade, man, that artwork I did got me to and through. Yup. And them 4 toys that I got for Toys for Tots, you know what I'm saying? That meant a lot. That G.I. Joe with the action kung fu grip, man, that was everything to me. No. Nobody's like, well, when they gave us that turkey for that one Thanksgiving, our whole family ate for the whole year. So absolutely not. Again, just to make you feel better momentarily, but not enough for you to be self-sacrificing. Number 7 is self-compassion practice. Mindful self-talk during setbacks. And so what happens is you regulate your emotion reactivity for your amygdala and your ventral medial prefrontal cortex, and it encourages resilience and growth mindset. So every time something is a setback, that's a setup for a comeback. And it happens to strengthen you, not to weaken you. And if you're focused on being self-actualized, you'll say, okay, I learned from this, now let me move forward. But if you're in the other 4, especially if you're in 3, oxytocin and all of that, you're going to be like, okay, I'm sorry, and then you're not going to do anything else. And then number 8 is creative expression without judgment. So I create these posts every single day, and I'm doing it. I make my own graphics, videos, edits, everything. It is creative expression, and I have no judgment. I got shit, my book got spelling errors in it, and it's still there, and I'm not republishing it. The content is the content. So it encourages neural flexibility and innovation, and that's in the right hemisphere in the prefrontal cortex, and it enhances authenticity and self-trust. If you are unwilling to use the right hemisphere of your brain for art and music and the left hemisphere for writing and expression, you can't have this total life experience if you're concerned with what your stimuli and your stance are going to say. So the neuroscience insights is that self-actualization isn't achieved by pushing harder. It's unlocked by engaging the brain systems that support clarity, courage, creativity, and connection. So you are not going to reach self-actualization by forcing it. It's not going to happen. You're going to have to go within and do the real work every single day. And then finally, as I close, here are the brain benefits to becoming self-actualized based in neuroscience. So becoming self-actualized offers profound benefits to the brain, both structurally and functionally. It engages and strengthens higher order networks that support decision-making, emotional regulation, creativity, and self-awareness. Lola said, I learned, stop trying to fit in. Being yourself is less stressful. Always find out the why. Stop looking for comfort and be able to be flexible by being fixable, by being able to change your mindset. Yes, ma'am. And are you typing that because I'm about to ask that question and you're departing? Because I feel like that's your answer to your what you learned today. You don't have to try to look or act like someone else. You don't. You were born unique. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you for that. So here are the brain benefits. You're going to have enhanced executive function, long-term pursuit, and prioritization and planning, and that's going to happen in your prefrontal cortex. You're going to have greater emotional regulation, which you need in order for the amygdalas to do their part and only their part, and let the prefrontal cortex be strengthened. That's going to release stress, reactivity, improved mood and stability, and that's happening in the ACC and the amygdala, the ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Next, you're going to have self-strengthening awareness. And so you're going to have integration of internal states and identifying your clarity. So it's going to happen in the insular cortex and the default mode network. You're going to have increased intrinsic empowerment. And so your pursuit of personal driven rewards are going to take place and not just external approval. I do this for my own self. I'm not waiting for somebody to come and say, "Ooh, Dr. Donna, you the shit." I'm telling you, boy, you a genius. But when you are looking for 3 and 4 Maslow's hierarchy need, you need that external stimuli. This occurs in the ventral striatum and the dopaminergic, fourth time, dopaminergic pathways. And the dopaminergic pathways are the neural pathways in the brain that utilize dopamine as their primary neurotransmitter. So that means that they are releasing dopamine with those synaptic connections. You're going to get boosted cognitive flexibility, which is located in your prefrontal cortex and the executive function. And this means that you are open to new ideas and creative problem solving. This happens in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex in the right hemisphere. Resilient stress response. So better adaptation to challenges and setbacks. You're going to have amygdala down regulation and cortisol buffering in the hippocampus. So because you are becoming self-actualized, cortisol is not going to be released because you're not going to be hypervigilant, not looking for all of the fight, like, oh my God, this is a problem, this is a problem, this is a problem. And that's going to calm everything down so that your brain is clear and you can use it as it was designed to be used. Deeper sense of fulfillment. It's activation of meaning making and spiritual cognition. And it is in the medial prefrontal cortex, the posterior cingulate, and the posterior cingulate cortex. Here's what I will say. I spent 5.5 years in the Army, 9 years, 2 months, and some change at Frito-Lay. Call that 15 years and some change. And I have been actively doing what I'm currently doing now for 12 years. This is the longest of my adult life that I've been doing one thing for 12 years. And it is the most fulfilling, rewarding work that I have ever done in my entire life. I'm 52 years old because I'm self-actualized. And when I was working for the man in the Army and the other man at Frito-Lay, I had to go do other things because that wasn't rewarding and fulfilling work. Now, I'm an officer in the Army. People salute me. I got a driver and all this other stuff. So to the external world, it seemed like this was boding well for me. But I went in the Army to pay for college. And then I took the corporate job because I'm like, well, chips on the truck ain't going to kill nobody. So let me go see what it means. And I needed to transition and learn how to be a civilian. But then it was just chips on the truck. And it just kept being chips on the truck. And I couldn't grow and I couldn't learn and I couldn't be creative. And I had to stay stuck in this Pepsi pretty situation that I was in. So it didn't matter that I had all of the accoutrements because up here, my brain was atrophied. And so I had to get a doctorate, I had to read, I had to go join Toastmasters. I had to do all these other things because this work was unfulfilling and unrewarding. But when you are self-fulfilled, self-actualized, the things that matter to other people don't matter anymore. My furniture is from 2008, 2009. My bedspread is from 2012. I told y'all my clothes are old because I'm doing fulfilling, meaningful work. And when you don't have that, now you got to move. Now you got to buy a new house. Now you got to build a new house. Now you got to do gentrification. You got to tear all this stuff down, even though it was built up, remodel and all of this because you need an external stimuli. But when you are self-actualized, it's all coming from the inside out. So now you're not trying to harm people because of hypervigilance. You aren't saying, come over here. It's unsafe over there. We got it better over here. You walk around free. Next is deeper sense of fulfillment, activation, and I said that, and then neuroplasticity enhancement. So ongoing neural rewiring through learning and growth. I am now studying the brain. I left my corporate job with just my book. I wasn't a distinguished Toastmaster. I didn't know anything about business. And I'm in my 11th year of a book challenge now. In my 11th year of a book challenge, I know more now than I did in my 23 years of going to school to become Dr. Donna, because I'm self-actualized. And so where this happens at is in the hippocampus, and you are having synaptic pathways being created. I am creating new neural pathways every single day. So finally, the neuroscience insight is this: self-actualization is not just a peak psychological experience. It is a whole brain upgrade, that rewires you for clarity, calm, and cognitive vitality. Your brain is going to reward you every day when you become self-actualized. That is what is going to take place. And you are going to reach a higher level. When people talk about zero fucks to give, you lying, because you're not self-actualized. I can tell people, like, yeah, I got zero fucks to give. You on trend right now. You got every popular thing on right now. People kill me. The women woke with a full thing of makeup on, the new glass, the hair, everything. And now they talk about, and see, your life ain't right. And what you need. You're not self-actualized. I'm not listening to you. You are on trend. You don't even just have on makeup because you wear makeup. You got on the current everything, telling somebody what they need to do. Become self-actualized first. How about that? How about everybody just become self-actualized? Because we had the ability to do it starting at 9 years old. And I work with adults. So even if you're 18, you've been able to be self-actualized for 9 years or more. And just start from there and become self-actualized. Because none of this other stuff is actually working. So Lola, I will reread yours again. Nola, you can go ahead and type yours in. What did you learn today? And what did you learn about yourself? Lola said, I learned, stop trying to fit in. Being yourself is less stressful. Always find out the why. Stop looking for comfort. Be able to be fixable by being able to change your mindset. And you don't have to try to look or act like someone else. Beautiful words. And it's the absolute 1000% truth. And the way you become self-actualized is neuropability. The way you become self-actualized is to actually use your brain as it was designed to be used, and not use it because you are afraid of what your stuffily and your stands are going to say. What is the world going to say? Negativity bias. The world is going to say some negative shit because that's what people are wired to do. They are going to judge you. They are going to say, that's not how you do that. They are going, I mean, look, I just had someone, oh, I'm not acknowledging that. Never mind. Okay. Nola, I learned that some people end up in their industry because of coming from a family of it. Yes. So if you are 9 years old, just next time you see 9-year-olds at a sporting event and the parents are saying, go, Caitlin! Go ahead, Connor, Cooper, Jeremiah! Go ahead, James, LaJacia! Girl, you better do it! And anybody else in the middle, maybe they didn't want to play a sport. Or maybe they did, and they're playing the piano or the violin, or they're at STEM camp, STEAM camp. They're at cheer camp, and they actually want to be at STEAM camp, but they can't because you come from a long line of cheerleaders. You come from a long line of rappers, so they got to be in the cheer, this thing on golfers. You're a business person. Lola said, by being yourself is using your own brain to be creative. Yes. So if you came here to do it, that's why I tell people, go look at those elementary school photos. That is who you came here to be. And I got on a suit. So that means I was Dr. Donna in the making. It was 1983. Little girls were not wearing tweed suits on picture day in the 5th grade in the 80s. No, they might have had a pretty dress on, some pearls or something, but they did not have a tootie mushroom with a side ponytail and a suit on. I'm a businesswoman. Yes, I am. Nola said, I learned about myself. It took me some time to become self-actualized. Yes, and it does. But think of it this way, Nola, and think of it this way, Nola and Lola. And thank you for your participation today. Imagine if at 9 years old, let's just imagine this. Let's go on a neuropability visualization run. If at 9 years old, you were nurtured to become self-actualized. So by 13, when your new brain shows up, you spent 13 through 25 self-actualizing. And your peer group Instead of saying, what are those? You ain't got no J's on. Oh my God, you got on the Uggs from last year. Oh no, you don't have, oh, you got the Android phone? Why don't you have the iPhone? Imagine if the peer pressure was, why you not being yourself? Why are you trying to be like that other person over there? That's not you. Where are they at by the time they become 25? We got the cure for every disease sitting in somebody's unself-actualized brain because they are in the wrong everything, the wrong marriage, the wrong situation, the wrong outfit, the wrong environment, because some other non-self-actualized person said, we don't do that. But just imagine that. You're in the 4th grade, and now you go to self-actualization class every day. We take English, I don't fucking know why, from elementary school to high school. You can graduate from high school with only 2 years of math. You don't need a foreign language, 2 years of science, but for some fucking reason, you got to have 4 years of damn English. Why? Can't we stop reading Shakespeare? Do we have to keep reading Wuthering Heights and Great Gatsby and The Bluest Eye? Can we do something else with that period of time? Self-actualization. We need to be doing Brain 101, 102, 103, 104, and self-actualization. And now we change the world. Now we change the world. You need 3 years of math. Got it. Still need more of English. Insane. So you're 9 years old, and now you actually get to become self-actualized. What does the world look like in one generation? The B's are being born now. The A's are in school. These 9-year-olds going to school right now, if they could become self-actualized, what would happen 10 years from now when they're 19? 20 years from now when they're 29? We would be in a better situation. But no, we're going to make them pick Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative. This is the religion that we are, and you better stay that way. Yes, self-actualized. Yes, ma'am. And that's because you're open to it. My teacher snapped on my friend for wearing a Trump shirt and quit on the spot. I have no idea. Okay. So anyway, imagine that you're 9 years old and you get to become self-actualized. Okay, so does anyone else have anything of actual value to say before we get out of here? Any questions? It's a great live today. Self-actualization, I will continue to bring to the forefront and reference it often, as it is the answer to all of our problems that we currently have. We have 6 billion adults not self-actualized, and that is why we experience what we experience on a daily basis from the unaccountable, non-self-actualized adults who then go ahead and let it trickle down to the youth. And a school backpack drive is not going to fix it. It's not the answer. But this is. Learn how to use your brain and how it functions in all of its totality. And now we have a different experience, because the people who are actually doing this work are waking up to a different experience every single day. And those who are not are hypervigilant to keep up the chaos and keep up the external stimuli so that they can avoid themselves. But I always say, you take you wherever you go. You can move to another country, and guess who's coming with you? You. You coming in all those moving boxes. You are coming with you. You and your shadow coming too. So you might want to not update. And I say new outfit, old mindset. You updated the wrong shit. So update your brain. Level up. Everybody's always talking about level up. Go ahead and level up to self-actualization. That's the level that you can actually get to on your own. You don't need a host. You don't need anybody cheering you on to self-actualization. Just you and your 860 trillion, potentially trillion synaptic connections. You and your 86 billion neurons. That's all you need to become self-actualized. You can do it, but you're going to have to leave the stuckmily and the stands and the accoutrements behind so that you can have this greater, better experience. All right, that is my time today, ladies and gentlemen. Higher power, God, and the universe willing, I will be back tomorrow, same time, same place, safe space, different brain t-shirts. You all go off and have a brain-tastic day. Adios.